Everyone, there it is. All right. Now we got it going on. All right. So once again, everyone, I hope you're at the right webinar. This is the pre-competition webinar for kayaking time trials coming up this weekend. The first slide here, I would just, you might have seen this in previous webinars, but we do want to make everyone aware of a donation program with vehicles. You can see how you can do that going to our website and choose the Give Vehicle Donation. This is with a partner of ours that will accept vehicles, and then any proceeds from those donations will be used for funding for program purposes at the state level and the local program areas. If you have any questions about it, you can also reach out to Sue Jacobs, our VP of Donor Relations, with her email address there for more information. We have had several vehicles donated, so turning out to be a very worthwhile endeavor here with our partner there for that program. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started. So we have Julie Klein, recently hired sports director with us, started, I think it was on Thursday or Friday of summer games. Been doing a really good job. Excited to have her with us on our team. My name is Steve Bennett. For those of you who may not know me, I'm the Senior Director of Competition and Sports and Competition here at Special Mix Maryland. We should have Jack Brocious joining us as well. He's a games management team member. And those of you who've been to kayaking before know Jack as our leader and also running the Kent County program for kayaking as well. We also have Mike Sarnowski, our VP of Sports and Competition from Special Mix Maryland, joining us as well. So our basic agenda that we usually have, we'll talk about the schedule and events. We'll go over some parking areas and the facility layout, trailer drop-offs, things like that. Some general logistics and of the venue. Talk over the course maps, and Julie will get into some rule reminders. They went over that preseason, but just to reiterate some of those moving into the time trials events. I have heard a few people saying that, COVID is coming back and et cetera. So we just wanted to shoot you this information as a reminder of the guidelines at Special Olympics. So we basically follow the CDC guidelines as it relates to COVID and returning to activities and things of that nature. We have the website here that you can check and refer to at your leisure. And one of the things we do want to talk about is if someone does test positive for COVID or another respiratory illness, things of that nature, they can return to normal activities when for at least 24 hours, both of the following statements are in effect and are true. Symptoms are improving, and there is no fever without the use of fever-reducing medication. Okay? So again, this isn't anything new. This is what we've been operating with for many, many months or up to a year, whatever. But do take, your precaution for those who may be in that situation with masking and distancing and things of that nature. But basically, the bottom line comes down to if you're sick, don't come. Stay at home. Even if that affects the potential of coming to state championships or whatever that the case may be. Again, the bottom line is health and safety for all, and just take the proper precautions there. So just a reminder here, we have participating areas and counties for kayaking. We have Anne Arundel, Baltimore City, Carroll County, Frederick County, Harford County, Kent County, Lower Shore, Montgomery County, St. Mary's County, and the Upper Shore. If there is someone who is missing off this list, you can send Julie an email or let her know, why did you leave me off the list? But hopefully that is inclusive of everyone who's planning to participate. And just let us know if we've missed somebody inadvertently. One thing I was remiss in staying at the beginning, but I think everyone saw that this is being recorded, and as always, our webinars will be recorded, posted on our coaches resource page, as well as the slide decks tonight, or the slides on the slide deck tonight on our coaches resource page, and Julie will do a follow-up to everyone tomorrow with that information. So one of the things we've asked for to try to assist with any parking concerns or whatever relating to that is handicap parking. And the request that we have received, nothing's guaranteed at this point, but we are still reviewing the requests. We have the handicap parking request from Montgomery County 1, Baltimore City 1, St. Mary's 2, Harford County 1, and Anne Arundel County 1. If you have any that you're not on this list, you need to let Julie know ASAP, hopefully by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Again, parking is limited. We want to make sure that we have enough facility space for those in need. The kayaking storage after time trials. If you're looking to leave them between the weekends, if you will, these are the county programs who have indicated as such. If anything changes with that list, again, that's Anne Arundel, Baltimore City, Harford, Lower Shore, and obviously Kent County. So if there's anybody there who's looking to do that, just notify Julie and we'll work with you to see what arrangements can be made with that. Again, that's leaving kayaks from time trials for the week leading into the finals.
Hey, Steve, can you hear me? This is JR, Jim Russell.
Yep.
Yep. We failed to get on that list, so I'll get in touch with Julie directly and make sure we get added to that list of leaving kayaks.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that.
Yep. Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. I think Julie's making a note of it now. So appreciate that. So at this time, from what Julie has collected from information from communications, this is the drop-off schedule, if you will. So Friday, August 9th, we have the programs who are dropping off their kayaks on Friday evening, Frederick County around 7:30 p.m., and then St. Mary's around 3:30. Kent County, obviously, they'll be there, as well as the Lower Shore kayaks. Then we can see on Saturday morning, the 10th, the day of time trials. We have Anne Arundel at 7:30 and Baltimore City the same time, Carroll County at 8, Harford at 8:15, Montgomery at 7:30 as well. So that'll be a really tight, we may have to work with each other on that. And the Upper Shore coming in at 7:45. If that's not accurate, again, let Julie know as soon as possible. With those 7:30 time frames, obviously we have 3 or 4 between 7:30 and 7:45 coming in. Might be a tight switch, so if there's any way you guys can get up there a little earlier, let us know. Because as you guys know, you've been there before, it can be a challenge to get everybody in and out in a timely manner, especially when everyone's arriving at the same time. So one of the other things we'll ask is please stay on mute. If you have any questions, you can type them into the chat function. Julie and Mike Sarnowski will be looking at those throughout the webinar. And at the end, we'll also open it up for questions as well. So the parking of the trailers. At this time, there's a possibility we may have to have a little flexibility on where the trailers are parked after dropping them off. So we'll talk about weather in a minute, but this is a precursor, if you will. Obviously, there's some weather coming in. There's a possibility we may need to move the trailers from their typical location there by the boathouse where you park the trailers in the grass. The vehicles stay on the gravel. So again, and then obviously between the 2 weekends, we'll just look at where those can be stored. We have received some information from Washington College that they are nervous about the grass areas and the upkeep and maintenance of those and the landscaping for the rest of their season, et cetera, as they have some really nice events scheduled from the college perspective for the new students and everything like that. So there is going to be rain over the next couple of days. It may saturate the ground. So again, as always, no vehicles are allowed in the grass whatsoever, with the potential exception of your trailers where you've parked those in the past. Any updates, we'll be working with the college leading up to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we will let you know no later than upon arrival and give you some instructions as we're continuing always communicating with the college. And as always, we want to make sure their facilities are in great condition as well. We don't want to be the cause of any damage to property.
Hey, Steve, just one reminder, because I know we've had this issue occur in the past. Coaches, please be certain to pass this particular point, well, pass everything on to the rest of your delegation. We've had folks who are not coaches drive out there before when they shouldn't have. and such, and they wouldn't know any different if no one's told them. And sometimes they can get past whatever level of security we might have there. So please do let folks know that this is our expectation, and if it changes, we'll let you know. But yeah, we just don't want that to happen and and damage the really good relationship we have.
Yeah, thank you for that addition, Mike. I appreciate that. So here's the basic schedule we're looking at. Again, Saturday the 10th, delegations starting to drop off their trailers at 7:30, potentially earlier. Just let us know. The volunteer registration at 8, delegation check-in with the head coaches at 8:30, or at 8, my apologies. Kayaks must be off the water if you go to course inspection. We'll talk about that in a minute. By 9, a brief coaches meeting at 9:10, very brief opening ceremony for time trials, 9:30. And off we go into the time trials. And you can see the schedule we have there from 10 to 12, the 500 and 200 meter event. 11:30 lunch will be hopefully available. We'll let you know, as we always do, when they're available for pickup. Then later after lunch, we get into the 200 meter with the 100 and 200 meter racers, and then the 1K racers at the end of the day. So here's the number of teams, competitors, etc. in the different events. One of the things here that we have realized, which is potentially, well, it's great that we're getting more doubles and unified and traditional teams, etc. One of the challenges that it does raise, however, is if there are individuals from your teams who are in doubles events and are using the same craft or the same kayak. Knowing that if they get put in the same division and their times are pretty equal, they won't be able to race against each other. So we really need to get a handle on, which we don't currently have a handle on, those programs who have doubles, and making sure that you've thought through the process with the number of crafts and tandem kayaks you have, etc. Mike just brought me in a sheet that he was working on right before the webinar. It looks like those counties who have teams or tandem competitors, whether it's traditional or unified, are Anne Arundel, Baltimore City, Carroll County, Frederick, Kent, and Upper Shore. Upper Shore and Kent does not look like they would be in conflict, as they each only have one team. Frederick has 8 teams. 100, 200, not that bad. 200, 500, you get into 3 teams. In the 1K, you have 4 teams. So that could be a situation that we've got to work through. Carroll County looks to be pretty good, I think, on a guess, with 2 teams in the 200, 500, and then 1 team in the 1K. Baltimore City, that looks like potentially our biggest challenge, with 13 total teams, 10 of which are in the 100, 200. So again, I know Bob, or Zach, and we have kind of briefly mentioned that. So may just do some follow up there and make sure that everything's ready to go and you've thought through that process. So we'll follow up with you guys there, but be thinking about how many tandems you have and what situations might arise. Again, if they're in the same division, depending on their event, they won't be able to get out on the water at the same time. So that would be an issue. So just wanted to talk through that and get you thinking on that. We'll do some follow-up on that at a later time in the next day or two. Mike, anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. It's just trying to anticipate and, make sure that we've got the boats that we need.
Yep. Yep. So again, that's on you guys as head coaches. Hopefully you've already thought through that, and you can say, no, Steve, we already got this covered. That would be the answer I would like to hear, but just want to make sure we've thought through those situations.
Yeah. Just one other note, and I know you'll touch on it in another context later. Hopefully this isn't an issue. The teams need to be in the same or similar boats in time trials and in finals. So my guess is that whatever boats you're bringing that are tandem are pretty much all identical, but there's the possibility that you have different versions. And I think the wiggle room, if you will, is a 6-inch difference in length. So anyhow, just want to make sure that we tied that in with what we're talking about here, even though I think Steve's going to touch on that, or Julie will touch on that later.
Yep. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. So the general layout has not changed from years past, but we may have some new people or people needing a refresher. So here you can see this is the gravel area by the boathouse. This is the major boathouse. Here's the dock where the timers are and the final staging and the competition course starts. This is typically where we call Tent City, or the grass area where delegations put up their tents. The parking here, again, this is typically where we do the trailers, and they back into the grass area with the vehicle in the gravel, the trailer in the grass. To be determined. Again, we're going to have to work through that when we get to the site, and potentially earlier if we're notified by Washington College, but not knowing what the weather absolutely 100% has in store for us, maybe is something that we've just got to be flexible on the day of. So just want to give everyone a heads up there. Those who have requested handicap parking, once you get notified that they have been accepted and we have room, they will be parking right up here. They will be marked with cones. We will have those parking passes to be handed out as you come in to the venue. We'll give those to you and indicate to those individuals when you get up front here, you'll see the orange cone, remove the cone, put it behind your car, and that way try to remember to remove it before you leave, and just make sure that no one else takes those spots. Staff and volunteers, our parking is usually up here, or some of us park up here in the grass area. Not sure if we're going to be able to do that. So that eliminates typically about 8 to 10 cars that are parked up in here under the trees. So those will be spaces that have to be potentially moved elsewhere. General parking for volunteers, spectators, family members, and that is up in the park area, the Wilmer Park parking. And obviously, or well, not obviously, but also in the train station, auxiliary parking right across the street. And it's a very short walk down here. You can actually, if you park in Wilmer, you can walk right across the pathway here through the pavilion right to the beach lawn. We're also concerned about, in the past, when it's been dry, we were able to park in the grass area behind the train station and their paved parking area. Depending on the weather, we may not have that additional grass area to park there either. So just want to make everybody aware. We'll continue to keep in communications with everybody as need be. Here's more of a close-up of the operational purposes for the events. Again, this is the dock area. Again, no one's allowed on the dock other than volunteers and management, with the exception of coaches or athletes that need to be in that situation where they have a quick swap of boats and personnel for the next competition. Here is where the athletes and competitors will stage, launch off the beach line backwards into the waterway, and continue down the side dock, or the pre-staging dock, if you will. Then once they're called upon and ready, they'll move up here, come around here for final staging, move right around to the front of the dock, and be ready to take off on the course. Again, this is the delegation area. This is the boathouse. This is where we'll have awards for finals, same place on the deck there, if you will. The registration is right here where you will come to sign in. Let us know of any scratches, any questions, that type of thing. That's also where the lunch distribution will take place once the lunches arrive. Also where we will have the brief opening ceremony. Everyone will kind of gather in this area, do a brief opening ceremony, and then get ready for the events. One of the things we are looking to do at time trials, we have heard the feedback from everyone. We know that sometimes it can be a challenge when we have the PA system making announcements here, even though the speakers are directed to the beach. and also out this way. We know that that's been a challenge to hear sometimes in the grass area. We're going to try to look at in the breezeway. This is kind of a breezeway that's you can walk right through or whatever. There is a little space here with an outlet. We're looking at having a PA system down here to directly be, well, to be closer and directly announcing to the grass area. Once again, provided we're allowed to be in the grass area. We hope that if that is able to be implemented, that it helps with the communication. We know that the athletes down at the beach line already know what's going on. We know the coaches down there by the tent are aware of what's going on as well. And more so, it's the announcements going to the delegation area in the grass spots. The restrooms are located in the breezeway as well, just as a reference point. And again, this is where the awards will be during finals. This is also an auxiliary parking area. I don't think I mentioned that on the previous slide. This is by the Armory. We usually put people down there first for the early arrivals, and that fills up, and then we start using the other auxiliary parking by the train station. I think I touched on everything there. One of the things like this area is where we will obviously offload the kayaks. We will have the delegation signs and placements of where your delegations will be dropping off the kayaks. Lower shore in Kent County is typically down in this area. And then depending on the size of your delegation, it's right in front of the boathouse and then off to the side there of the gravel area as you make your way down to the dock. So for registration and check-in, we talked about where that location is. Again, you as the head coach will check in for your entire delegation. Let us know of any scratches you're aware of at that time. We'll make note of it, make sure that communication gets sent down the road, if you will, to others who need to be informed. That's right there at the boathouse, as we talked about in the previous slide. While the head coach or your designee is handling all the check-in and information gathering there, receiving your packets with your bibs and labels and things like that, everybody else should be unloading or getting the boats and kayaks ready for staging and just making sure everything's ready and labeled for the day. Again, you will be issued the bibs with the labels that go on the bibs, as well as the safety pins upon arrival. And those same bibs, well, the same number of bib will be assigned to each competitor from time trials and finals as well. We will be issuing new bibs at finals. They will be the same number, but a new bib to have in your hand. So some reminders here as well. Those who we've taken the information from the state championship registration that you guys have done. We've sent out reminders and double checking and make sure everyone's in the events. For time trials, that they will compete in the finals as well. We have found once here and there that an athlete in double needs to change the competitive event from finals, whether it's, hey, we thought they could do the 500, the 200, 500. Now we need to move them back to the 100 and 200. So we're going to scratch the 500, move them to the 100. Or vice versa. You could find somebody, hey, we're going to give them a chance to try the 500. We don't think they can. My gosh, they did. That's awesome. So we're going to do the 500, 200, 500 as an example. We need to make sure we are having those athletes or teams compete in those events and get times for that. So based on the performance, you'll need to make a change. If you need to make a change, let us know and make sure that you as a head coach have instructed and informed us and get them into the proper events while they're being run for time trials so they have a finals time to be divisioned on. So before you depart from time trials, again, report those changes, let us know, and we'll make those updates in the computer as need be. That can be reported to Mike. There's in that breezeway we talked about at the boathouse. Mike's usually inside working on the computer with entering all the times and information like that. So you can inform him as well as other personnel there in the control center and otherwise. Talked about the coaches meeting. Again, that'll happen at 9:10, right after the opening or right before the opening ceremony. And that's just when we'll go over the lay of the land for you guys, give you some brief reminders for the day, answer any questions you have. So again, down at the staging area on the beach line, every area program needs to have one coach or designee in that general area to make sure they're at the beach and hearing for missing athletes, or this person hasn't shown up yet for staging, so that we're not running around trying to find them, because we will not delay the start of any events because of an athlete or team is not there ready. That's collectively our job, but we look to you guys as coaches to help with that process through your programs. And again, additionally, the same thing as years past, make sure you have some additional personnel to help move the kayaks back and forth from your loaded area with your kayaks down to the beach line into the staging area. We talked about the opening ceremony, no need to hit on that again. I will say thank you to those who did submit nominees for the opening ceremony portions that we were looking for nominations. So we talked about the unloading of the trailers and the kayaks. Again, we'll work with each other, get them in, get them out, make sure we're working fast but safely to get everything done in a timely manner, get ready for the day. Pop-up tents, again, you can have those as of today in the grass area. We will continue to communicate with you about any issues with that. We will talk about the weather in a minute, where there could be some wind that would be concerning. And if they are allowed to be put up in the first place, and we do see some wind coming, we will ask them to be removed. We ask for your assistance as leaders of your program to help any family members and others understand the importance of removing or taking down said pop-up tents. So access to the dock. As in years past, we're looking at 8 to 9 o'clock, give or take. That's when you will have access to the dock and getting in and making a course inspection, that type of thing. So, but you can only go out on the water once you have received the okay from a management or staff member that the water personnel and it's safe to go, or in place and it's safe to go out on the water. The coach will need to go out with them if they're doing a course inspection of things of that nature. And again, just let your family members know, and other delegation members for that matter, that the dock is not a spectator area. It's not a safe environment to have a lot of people out there. We just don't want to take that risk and anything of that nature. So like I said earlier, the dock space is very limited and only permitted for delegation members, including coaches, when you have one of those quick swaps of crafts and personnel that needs to take place. But yeah, we've had family members who want to get out there and try to sneak by whoever may be watching that access to take pictures and things of that nature. Just be heads up with everybody and say, you can't do that. Shoreline is where you can do that. Talked about the distribution of meals. As always, we will notify you when the meals have arrived. Thank you for everyone who submitted your lunch requests. We appreciate that. But we will not be sending out or handing out individual lunches. You, depending on how large your delegation is, you as the head coach or your designee or one or two other people to help carry everything back to your location is fine. But don't be coming up and having people say, when are the lunches here? We will let you know when they're ready for pickup. Again, lunches are only available for those who are officially registered and members of your delegation, or part of the management team, or officially registered volunteers for the time trials through Sam Boyd and the state office. So we've had situations in the past where people expected to be fed, and we just want to make sure that everyone's in compliance and in understanding with that. Mike, anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Okay, I saw you unmuted. I thought maybe you had something. And a reminder there that, family members are allowed to bring their own coolers and lunches and all that kind of stuff, just no alcohol or other drug related materials, things like that. It's one of our codes of conduct, and a reminder there. Make sure everyone is aware. We talked about the course inspection again. Most of the time, that's for individuals to come out and look at the 1K course. You can do so up to 9 o'clock again, and then they have to be off the water at 9, not getting to the dock and getting out of the kayaks at 9, off the water, out of their boats at 9 o'clock. Again, not everyone will be able to do that, depending on when your arrival is. But again, just want to make sure that everyone is available for that process and availability of the course inspection. Talked about the coaches need to be out on the water. And again, just double check you have permission to go out on the water and under safety people are in place. Talked about the coaches and helping. And you guys, I will say you guys have been absolutely phenomenal the last year or two with helping with moving the crafts and the boats and the kayaks and everything. So I want to continue that again. And I also wanted to recognize all of your efforts. It has made the day go really, really more smoothly than in past when we didn't have that situation in place. So just want to make sure that I acknowledged all of your efforts, and hopefully you have found that to be helpful as well in engaging with the rest of your delegation. Medical. Didn't mention that on the slide deck, but or on the slide that had the layouts, but medical will be right there where you guys come in to register and check in the overhang of the boathouse, where the lunches will be distributed and everything. Like typically that's where the medical personnel are located. If you're out somewhere else and you need medical, just be prepared to answer where exactly are you? And what's the situation that the medical personnel are coming to handle? You can look for anybody that has a radio. I think it's either purple or blue shirts, polo shirts we'll be wearing. And again, anyone that has a radio can access our medical personnel. There'll be plenty of people around the dock, around the boathouse as well that have radios. But again, if you're right by the boathouse, you know where they are typically. And if not, someone with a radio is usually right there in that location. We do have implemented in the last year or so a new standardized, from a Special Olympics Maryland perspective, notification to the medical personnel. So again, they know what they're coming to. So you may not remember this, but just be aware, priority 1 is life-threatening or unconscious individual. Priority 2 is, hey, it's serious, but not life-threatening. And then priority 3 is, hey, I need a Band-Aid. Okay, so priority 1 is obviously the highest level priority, that's life-threatening. And then level 2 is serious, but not life-threatening. Level 3 is not a rush, need a Band-Aid, need an ice pack, something like that. So now we'll get to the weather. I will start before we get into this. Yes, I think all of you guys well know that here at Special Olympics Maryland, as well as you guys, always look at the weather. We're always up to date and always start monitoring for any of our events pretty much 2 weeks out, if not sometimes even further out than that. We'll continue to monitor that. We're continuing to work with our forecasts and our DTN meteorologist that we subscribe to, which is the same that Major League Baseball uses, the NFL, major college universities, the NCAA, et cetera. So they are very high level. Again, sorry about that. My phone was ringing. We are looking at weather conditions. We are looking at the possibility of some high winds, some rain leading up to and including the weekend. So we'll talk about some of those situations in just a second, but generally speaking, if there is thunder or lightning occurs, we'll need to have everyone evacuate, go to their vehicles, go to a shelter, and wait at a minimum of 30 minutes before we're allowed back out. Again, for the most part, people can go to their vehicles. If they don't have a vehicle, we do have some shelter there in place in the boathouse as need be. So one of the things we also continue to reiterate is because of the weather service we have, we get notifications from like 10 miles out, whatever. So even though we say we need to evacuate now, people have said, what are you talking about? It's beautiful out here. Well, yeah, it may be right now, but in 7 minutes, it's going to hit us. So we just ask for your cooperation with family members and others who may not understand the weather service and the situations that we're privy to that maybe somebody else may not be if they're not looking at the weather app or weather stuff. They may not understand why are we doing it. There is a reason, and I'll tell you what, those weather apps that we have are extremely accurate, and we just don't want to delay the movement of individuals if need be, to have discussions of why. The reason is safety, and it is coming. So again, we'll be monitoring that. We've been monitoring it for 2 weeks already, and doing that kind of on a every 4 to 6 hours basis between now and both weekends. So here's what we see as of today. Again, this is about 4 or 5 days out, but you can see on Saturday, thunderstorms are predicted with rain in the morning. And I'm going to share this with you guys. We did actually, part of the DTN weather service that we subscribe to allows us to communicate directly with a high-level meteorologist. So I will say that they are predicting heavy rainfall in the coming days leading up to the weekend, with 2 to 4 inches of rain expected. That's one of the reasons why Washington College is concerned about the grass areas, to leave tire marks and to leave treads and just create a mess there that we want to avoid. There could be winds up to 40 miles an hour leading up to the weekend. And again, as we get into Saturday, they're saying that there could be some rain in the morning, predicting that it will may get a little easier in the late morning and early afternoon, be drier, but still, with all the rain that's coming in, there could be some issues. And with that, there could be some more wind that's happening. So again, we're not just looking at the rain and the lightning, we're also looking at the wind conditions, knowing that what that does to the water, whether it's choppy headwinds and making a very not so nice experience for the competitors. So we are looking at making these decisions as soon as possible, but also taking into consideration, we know that weather can change. We will follow up with you guys tomorrow in regards to this webinar with the links and the recordings, as well as a brief mention of the timelines and deadlines that we're looking at in order to make decisions. I will say, at the latest, we would be making a decision on Friday, if we can, in the late afternoon. If we are able to make a decision earlier, obviously that works out for everyone involved, from a travel perspective, from a volunteer perspective, from all other types of arrangements that everyone's making for this weekend. So again, as a reminder, the possibility exists that we move to Sunday, that we move the Saturday time trials to Sunday. So that possibility is a real possibility. If you can look at Sunday there, it's looking clear. So again, we all know weather can change from hour to hour, day to day, but I just want to be clear with everyone. We'll be communicating with you guys in a timely manner, but wanted to give you the heads up in regards to this. If you're not aware, there is a tropical storm, Debbie, that's been coming up. And again, that's what we've been tracking for the last week or so. So just want to keep everyone in the loop as much as possible. So here's the course map. Those of you who've been here, nothing has changed. You basically you come out here, the pre-staging from the boat launch, come out here to the pre-staging, move around, get in line for in the lanes. There's 3 lanes. And we have the markers at the 100 and the 200, and then the 500 down at the end. These are with larger buoys. The lanes are marked with the typical buoys that you see in the past and that are used on waterways. These are larger buoys and indicate the 200 meter mark. And there's also one down here for the 500 meter mark. For the 1K athletes and competitors, they will come down to the 500, make a turn, and head back. And as a reminder, I think this may be on one of our slide decks or slides later, reminder that they need to finish between the 2 buoys for the 1K. One will be right at the dock, and one will be out here, but they all need to finish between those buoys. Last year, we had one or two competitors finish outside the buoys, and unfortunately, that's a disqualification. So that may be one of the things you obviously want to remind your 1K athletes and teams the day of, and maybe go out there and take a look at it once you get permission to go out on the dock. This reminder here for the finals webinar, pre-competition webinar, that'll be on Tuesday of next week. And again, we'll talk about things there. But if you haven't signed up, go ahead and sign up for it using the link here. We have the time slotted from 6 to 8. If I don't talk as much, it won't go that long. But typically that one's much shorter because we've already covered much of the information that'll be used going into the finals that we're covering tonight. With that, I'm going to just ask Julie or Mike if you've seen any questions coming in through the chat in regards to the general information that I've provided. And if not, we can, I'll hand it over to Julie to go over some rule reminders. But Mike or Julie, have you seen any questions that have come in?
No, the only thing is a coach praising the quality of the maps.
Oh, well, I can't take credit for that. I think that was a carryover from maybe Zach Centron.
Oddly, Zach is the person who is praising the
oh,
quality
well,
of the
that makes
maps.
sense. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Okay. We can strike that from the record. Any other questions? Julie, do you see any or that came to you directly?
Nope, just Zach's iconic map comment.
Hey, this is Jean.
Hey, Gene.
When they compete the 1K, will the side buoys be removed? You've got the buoy for the 200, the 100. Will those be taken away?
No,
Yeah.
they stay out on the course the whole time.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
So that's a good, thank you.
Yep, you bet. Yeah, so when you tell them to come down, there'll be a buoy out here where they have to go around and just say, hey, stay to the right of the other buoys. But when you get to the finish line by the dock, look for that buoy that's out in the water all by itself and make sure you're to the inside of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but when you were just moving your cursor, I mean, it would make sense if you're trying to go as fast as you can, you would want to hug that lane line and not go around behind the star kayak, right? Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah.
Hug the lane
Yeah.
line, go in front of the sailboat if it's parked there, and go between the buoys.
Yeah, come around, take that turn around the buoy as tight as you can, and then hug that coming to the finish line. You got it.
Yeah. Question about the lane lines.
Yep.
Well, we came up there and did some put our guys in the lane lines for the first time. But I thought the indication of where the 200 and 500, 100, 200 were on the other side, on the inside.
No, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie. They're out towards away from the shoreline. There
So
may be one. Go ahead, Julie.
The 100 and the 200 markers are on every line. So it's on each line. There's a 102 marker. There's a yellow buoy marker for the 100 and the 200, and there's a red for the 500.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we set the course.
I'm sorry. Did you change them? Because that's, in my knowledge, that's not the way they were when we went up there on.
Yeah, they didn't change from when we set them on the second or whatever. So yeah, what Julie's saying is in each of the lanes, what we do is we do the little buoys, little buoy, little buoy. Then on each lane, correct me if I'm wrong, Zach and Julie, we put a big marker down for the 100, then little buoy, little buoy, little buoy, big buoy, little buoy, little buoy, little buoy, big buoy down at the 500.
Correct. Stephen, Julie, you may just want to check with Jack before you guys head down there this week.
Yes.
If there are buoys that tend to go and find new homes with other folks, is the polite way I will put it. It's the big buoys. So it might be worth asking Jack just to take a peek.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks, Pam. Okay, so with that, I will stop my talking. I will now monitor the chat function and let Julie talk about rule reminders. So Julie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. So a few rules here for time trials. The starting of racers will be led by the official saying racers ready, and then he's going to sound an air horn. For our individuals who do have a hearing impairment, they need to be notified in advance, please, who does have a hearing impairment, and there will be a white flag dropped at the start line. And it's also, if it's requested, the starter can tap the back of the kayak for when the athlete is supposed to start. There will be a red flag raised at the start line and or finish area. If there is infraction in that lane, it will be raised in that lane. If a teammate or a athlete falls out of their kayak during the race, they will be given the opportunity to get back in their kayak, but they have to do so on their own and they can continue the race. If they choose not to do so on their own, they will not be able to continue the race, and the safety boats will help them out in getting back in their kayak. Some rules for the 100 and 200 that are specific to that. If an athlete or teammate travels outside of their lane without impeding another athlete, they will be given a 5-second penalty. We will not be applying the 5-second rule to time trials because it provides an advantage to a kayaker that is making the infraction. There is a possibility that this could affect the award that the athlete receives in finals. So please remember that the place that the athlete crosses the finish line may be affected in the case of a penalty. In this instant, that an athlete travels outside of their lane, they must complete their race in their assigned lane. And if the athlete finishes their race outside of their lane, it will be a disqualification. So if the athlete say they're in first place and then there is a penalty and say the other athlete is 5 seconds behind the lead kayak, then there will be difference in awards and everything like that, but we won't know until everybody's finished the race. If an athlete goes outside of their lane and impedes another athlete, it is possible for a DQ through protest. The athlete who impeded can choose to restart the race later in the day. Athletes who are disqualified will have the opportunity to participate in finals for a participation award. Depending on the infraction during our time trials, the disqualification may apply to certain events. A protest must be filed within 30 minutes of posting the results. So once we post the results, you'll have to go within 30 minutes to where Steve had shown on the map. That little breezeway right there is where our control center is. So you'll have to file a protest with Mike, who will be sitting in that control center, which is right in that breezeway right there.
Yep, and I might have misheard you, but just to clarify that one and to reiterate, the athlete who impedes doesn't have the opportunity to re-race, but the athlete who was impeded upon does. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. Again, it may be something that they'll just need to come back in and start over again, but they do have that opportunity to get a better time, if you will. Just want to make sure everyone's clear on that one.
All right, so some 1K rules here for singles and doubles. So with the 1K, we did the qualifying times through GMS, and we did the fastest racers would be starting first. And the athlete who is in the lead has the right of way. And a kayak behind them can overtake them, but they need to yield to the leading kayak. If not, it could be a possible disqualification. There we go again, saying about how we registered in that way. The kayaks also will be called to their staging based off of their lane number that's on the heat sheets, and that's based off of the staging order by events. As I said, the fastest will be first, and then it'll go from there. So hopefully there's less of a combobulation on the course. It is the coach's responsibility once we post the results to check the results boards for disqualifications and tell everybody if there is a disqualification or if there is a protest. It is also the coach's responsibility within 30 minutes of posting the results to go ahead and protest, head to that control center there. Approval of a protest is not automatic. We do take into consideration the rules and everything like that, but the final decision needs to be thought through and made. A protest must be filed by a head coach. It has to be a fully certified head coach. And again, within 30 minutes of the results being posted, head to that control center area. Appeals will also be filed in that control center area by that breezeway. So the courses that we set, we are leaving them set for time trials and for the finals. The 1K course, as Steve had showed you, I think it may have been Jean who asked the question. You'll go down that 500, you'll go around that last buoy, and you have to finish the race in between that outside buoy and the last course set line. The course will be open from 8:30 until 9. If you guys want to get out there early, because we do have the coaches meeting and opening ceremonies right after that at 9 and 9:10. So everybody needs to be off of the water, please, by 9. Uniforms, the competitors wear a shirt or shorts and long pants during the practices and competitions. We do ask to have it's a requirement to have a type 3 life preserver on the athletes and teammates at all times. Whether you are on the water or dock, you still need to have a life preserver on. Helmets are optional. Water shoes and polarized lenses are recommended, but they are also optional. We do not require those. Division and competition schedules, I will have those sent out no later than Thursday night. We're still working that all out through GMS. When you guys get there at the check-in, that's on top where the opening ceremonies is held, you guys will be given a packet with delegations, registration reports, and there'll be bibs with safety pins in there, and they'll go to the shirts of the athletes. And there will also be master heat sheets, and it'll have a heat sheet that has all of your athletes and which events that they will be participating in. We do require all of our kayaks to have a flotation device in them, whether it's a beach ball or any type of flotation device in the stern or bow, and this will be checked prior to their competition. They must qualify to compete, as I believe Steve had mentioned before, in time trials, they have to be in a kayak that is in similar size to their kayak that they are going to be competing in the championships. And it has to be within 6 inches of the kayak that they are competing in with time trials. They also have to be using the same paddle, and their bib number needs to be on the side of their kayak with painter's tape or however each delegation chooses to use it, but their bib number and their name needs to be on the side of their kayak.
I think just to clarify, I think the bibs go on the safety vest, if I'm not the flotation vest, if I'm not mistaken. But the labels and everything go on the kayak.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry,
Yeah.
read that wrong. Just making sure you were paying attention there, Steve.
I got you.
But wait, just so that we're clear with folks, the bibs that have the athletes' events on a label on the bib go on the jacket or the life vest on the back, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then the label that you're talking about is the label on the kayak itself with the name and the bib number. Okay,
Yeah,
just want to make
intent,
sure
yep.
we're clear.
Yep. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's the good thing. We want to make sure we're clear on that. Thank you, Mike.
So we're going to assist the kayakers and the athletes and teams at the start line, but the athletes should be trained to be able to maneuver their boat to the start line by themselves. And the athletes need to enter the water backwards for the proper entry, because they're going to come around where Steve had showed in that staging area, and they'll get into the water backwards. Again, coaches are not allowed on the water unless they are in a safety boat or a staging helper. And the athletes and teammates, whether it's singles or doubles, must remain in the kayak at all times. And this also includes their legs, because some of our athletes want to hang their legs out the side. They got to keep their legs and everything in the kayak while they are on the water. No coaching is permitted from the shorelines, kind of the same as our other events, not even code words such as, I don't know, chocolate to paddle left or vanilla to paddle right or anything like that. There's no coaching at all from the sidelines. If that happens, it will be a disqualification for the athlete.
This may be in the next slide, but well, let's see if it is. No, I think, and it's easy for families to get excited and other spectators and supporters. So just make sure as you're there with your groups that you inform them of that process. The last thing anybody wants to do is inadvertently have an athlete or teammate disqualified because they were trying to quote unquote help them from the sideline or from the beach or the shoreline. So again, the proper stuff is, hey, keep going. You're doing great. Looking good out there. Keep it up. That type of stuff. But anything that could be deemed as instructional is terms for disqualification.
So awards, they will not be held for time trials, but for finals, the awards will be held right outside of what they call it, out here on this deck where Steve's putting the cursor, and we will have a announcing system there as well. So hopefully that'll help us out a bit. But they will be staged in the first garage door, and then they will proceed in, and they will be directly escorted from the water after their event by our volunteers. But we do ask, please, that you do have a coach or someone from your delegation near the shore in case our volunteers might not know all the athletes or something like that, and they are searching for somebody for awards, that we know exactly where they are and who they are, and it'll be just easier for us to find them if there's somebody there who can point them out. And hey, that's Joe Schmo. It'll be much easier to point them out that way. And for the 1K to run, the 1K run order is by fastest to slowest, but based on Special Olympics divisioning. So we have it based off of gender, age, and ability. Divisions may not run consecutively. Just because the first racer becomes in the division doesn't mean that the division will be awarded immediately. All 1K racers in the division must be finished for that division to be awarded. So everybody's got to finish in that division before it's awarded. So that'll be a little different than the rest of them. Any questions, comments, concerns? I wasn't monitoring the chat box. Let's see if there's nope. Just Zach's comment about his marvelous course map.
I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I don't know if you've noticed your camera is just getting your forehead. So those who may not know you, they can see you now. So there you go. I know you were fixing your hair earlier. So
well, I had to check yours, so you had to check mine.
Yep, exactly. So I haven't seen any questions come in through the chat. Except for Mike's comment there. But anyway, are there any questions we have at this time? Again, the main thing here is we obviously have the tropical storm Debbie coming up the coast, and we've been monitoring that again since last week. So we will work with you guys. We've given you the information that you need at this time in regards to plan accordingly. As soon as we can make a decision, we know the better. But again, we want to do it. There's all kinds of factors that go into that, as you could well imagine. So if you have any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out to Julie or your area leadership. As always, we provide you here with the coach's resource page. Again, that's where the slide deck from tonight, as well as the link to the recording will be. Again, that's open to general public, athletes, teammates, family members, whatever, can have access to that. If you just want to say, hey, you can listen to the webinar just like I did. But again, have them direct their questions as far as any families or spectators or supporters to you as the head coach to help filter those questions coming to the state office. And we also have the upcoming fall season here with the appropriate sport director, or in the case of Melissa Anger, senior sport director, with their events coming through the Fall Sports Fest and then through the soccer and bowling events leading into 2025. So with that, we want to thank you as coaches, as supporters, as area leadership management members, as family members, as in some cases unified teammates. Without you guys, obviously the events and the athletes and the other teammates don't get trained, don't have the opportunity to showcase their skills, try new sports, learn new skill sets on the water, other sports, meet new friends, and have involvement in the great organization of Special Olympics, with at the state level for these type of events, and in your local community with what programming you guys provide. So on behalf of the state organization and our president, Jim Schmutz, we thank you for everything you do. Again, collectively, It's our job. Head coaches, area management, state staff, our management team members as volunteers as well. It's our collective efforts to provide the best experience to the athletes, teammates, and all others in attendance to continue to change the community and give opportunities and great experiences through Special Olympics, whether it's volunteering, competing, or otherwise. So with that, Mike, any closing comments you'd like to add?
Just thank you again to everyone. We're looking forward to seeing everyone this coming weekend, and looking forward to a great day. Thanks again.
Yep, and the only thing I'll add is, go ahead. There seemed to be somebody who unmuted for a question, maybe.
Yeah, it's me, Jim Russell, Steve. Just a quick comment. We do have a number of our athletes and families that are coming up Friday and have, hotel reservations. So just making you aware that we got people that are traveling Friday, then spend the night. So the sooner we make a decision, the better. Thanks.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you what we've done. We obviously are in the same boat, no pun intended or pun intended, as others who are traveling. So we have called our hotel to say we'll be going down Friday as a state staff and whatever, regardless, to set up and to take look at things. But what we did do is we called our hotel and said we would like to also have these rooms on hold for Friday night or Saturday night, I should say, leading into Sunday for checkout. And we wanted to check the cancellation policy, and they worked with us on that one. So I highly recommend anybody in that same situation, give a call to the hotel, talk to the managers, and let them know the situation and find out what their policies are in regards to availability for Saturday night and or cancellations on Friday night if that decision is made. Again, Jim, you've known us long enough, but I know it's not something that we take lightly. We're going to try to make that decision as soon as possible, no later than Friday, but I know that doesn't help for those who will be traveling long distances on Friday. So we'll work with you as best we can. That's the only suggestion I can give now, is to call those hotels and give them the situation. And most of the time, they're good to work with. At least our hotel where we are, they weren't booked up on Saturday night, so they were able to work with us on that. But thanks for that reminder, and thanks for that question.
Thanks, Steve.
Yes, sir. Julie, anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thank you guys. I'm excited to see you guys and work with you guys, as I am a new sports director. Hopefully the weather holds out for us, fingers crossed. I mean, Debbie's not looking too promising, but hopefully she'll hold out for us and we can get the time trials over with, and the weather's looking good for championships as of now. I don't want to jinx it, but it's looking good as for now. But thank you guys.
Yep. Okay, so with that being said, again, we will go ahead and stop the recording here, Julie. And again,